What's up, everybody? I'm Jim Barry, and this is Miami Life, the show that takes its own unique look at the unique topics here in South Florida. Today, we look at how this year's intense summer heat is giving more people the blues. Plus, the 305, #1 in a not-so-cool category. But first, call it an environmental uprising. Governor Ron DeSantis backs off of a plan to put hotels, disc golf, and pickleball courts inside Florida state parks. The governor said he is pulling the plug on the controversial Great Outdoors initiative, saying, quote, "I'd rather not spend any money on this. If people don't want improvements, then we won't do them."
So this was something that was leaked. It was not approved by me. I never saw that. They're going back to the drawing board, talk to your local communities. And so that'll be something that citizens can be able to do. They're not doing anything this year. They're going to go back and basically listen to folks. A lot of that stuff was just half-baked, and it was not ready for prime time when it was intentionally leaked out to a left-wing group to try to create a narrative. Since I've been governor, we've added over 250,000 acres to conservation land. We established a Florida wildlife corridor. So we've done a lot of stuff. And on the state parks, if there does need to be improvements, we're not going to take away any green space. We have an existing footprint, and you do. But if we do nothing, then that's fine with me.
The plan would have affected 2 parks in South Florida, Mizell Johnson in Broward and Oleta State Park in North Miami Beach. That's where our Joan Murray caught up with protesters who did not like the governor's idea one bit.
Keep Florida wild. Keep Florida wild.
Parents, kids, and activists protesting a plan to build cabins, pickleball courts, and even a disc golf course. It's golf using a flying disc or frisbee at Oleta River State Park.
All the children that you see around us could have a future and enjoy it the same way we did.
I came here today thinking that I would make a difference in helping people realize how important it is to conserve the wildlife and to save Mother Earth.
The outcry has grown since Florida's sudden announcement they propose adding possible campsites, cabins, and lodges at 9 state parks and increasing rec activities like pickleball, disc golf, and paddling.
This is stupid. It's destructive. It just needs to stop.
Activist Sam Van Leer has a history with Oleta. More than a dozen years ago, he helped transform a vacant tract of land into what it is today. It's where the disc golf course would be built.
What they're doing is moving into an area that is roughly 50% wetland, and then a lot of the dry areas are fully restored as native habitats.
So if it's something that you want to create, just
Parent Catalina Lemaitre, who organized the demonstration, is hoping the state will back down.
My hope is that the plans are completely scrapped and we get a do-over and we start over and we talk about what our parks really need.
What they would like to see the state do is upgrade bathrooms, work on the trails, and overall make the parks more welcoming for the public. In North Miami Beach, Joan Murray, CBS News, Miami.
And joining us now for a deep dive on this issue is Javi Estevez, Legislative Coordinator and Acting Political Director of the Sierra Club Florida, which aims to protect wildlife and our open spaces. So you heard the news driving over here. Governor Ron DeSantis backs off. Is this a win, and do you feel like it's a permanent win?
I feel like it is a temporary win. It is a great achievement for everyone in the state of Florida. We saw a complete uprising of people all around the state, no matter what your partisan leaning is, saying that we want to protect our state parks in the state of Florida. But coming from an environmental organization here in the state of Florida, you can never let your guard down. So that's why we were ready to attack when we needed to attack, and we're going to be ready when the time comes, if it comes. But I want to be clear to Governor DeSantis. We do not want a reworking of this plan. We want this plan completely canceled and done with.
You want it to be scuttled, period.
Yes.
And the sense that I get, Javi, is that it wasn't just that people opposed the idea, it's sort of the sneaky way that people saw that it was being done, because a lot of provisions here were kind of being snuck in when people weren't really paying attention, right?
Absolutely. Mind you, the news, according to Governor DeSantis, gets leaked out the week of the primary elections here in the state of Florida. So people are busy making their voices heard, and they're trying to get these last-minute meetings pushed in without even showing the full plans of what was going to come out. Yeah. So it not only was it sneaky, but it is development of our state parks, which people want to protect. A lot of people were surprised by the outpouring of opposition, but we're not surprised. The state of Florida protects our lands, protects our natural resources, and people want to keep protecting that.
So let me play devil's advocate here, because some would argue, what's so wrong with getting people interested in going to the parks and enjoying the scenery? And disc golf is not like building an 18-hole golf course. 4 pickleball courts in huge Alita State Park is not going to make that big of a difference, some would argue.
Well, the issue is that, number one, there are some of the state parks in the state that they were going to put full-on golf courses in, 350-room hotels included. We're not talking about improvements to bathrooms or making our state parks more accessible to everyday Floridians. We are talking about development of our state parks. And if we know something in the state of Florida is that they will take 1 inch now and take your whole foot later. So we need to stop it in its tracks. If you want to talk about improvements like Governor DeSantis just said, it's just some improvements, that is a conversation we are willing to have to make sure that our state parks are protected and resourceful and open to the general public. But paving over our state parks will never be allowed.
Yeah, you're passionate about this. What got you interested in this?
I mean, our environment is what we have here in the state of Florida. It is what's natural to us. It is what has been given to us. We see overdevelopment all over the state. And there's little we can do to stop a lot of that development. But these natural resources where animals live, where people take their time to kayak and boat and swim and enjoy their time, these need to be protected at all costs. It is a bipartisan issue. A bipartisan issue in the state of Florida, Jim.
You don't find much of that.
I mean, you don't find much of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Governor DeSantis found it. Yeah. For the last week, it has been Governor DeSantis versus the state of Florida. And it would be political malpractice for him to bring this up again.
So what's next here? You said you think this is just a temporary one. How do you think this might resurface and continue to be an issue?
So this will be an issue if Governor DeSantis stays the course and says that he wants to rework the plan. This will be an issue in this election, in the state legislative races. We will ask every single candidate, Democrat, Republican, or Independent, where do you stand on funding for these plans? Because at the end of the day, our state parks are our state parks, and they are funded by our tax dollars, and they need to be funded by the state legislature. So we will ask every single candidate where you stand on this issue. And if it pops up again next year, then we will be ready to fight it again. Yeah.
Lastly, a broader question. How worried should we be about the preservation of the environment in the state of Florida? Not just because of this issue, but in general.
So luckily, we have always been a state that has leaned toward conservation. It is one of those issues that obviously things pop up, but we're able to attack it head on. My question to DeSantis is that if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. He has said that he is one of the best conservation governors in the history of the state of Florida, and this is his opportunity to really show us action.
And in fairness, he has done a lot for Everglades restoration.
Yes, yeah. But developing our state parks is a bridge too far. So if he wants to cancel this, then we will give him his praise, but we're not reworking this.
Gotcha. Javier Estevez from the Sierra Club, Florida. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Up next, fighting the summertime blues. For many people, Miami's relentless heat could trigger depression. We'll take a deep dive into how seasonal affective disorder is not just a winter problem. And we'll tell you about the latest award our city of Miami has earned. It's not one to be proud of either. Miami Life, back in a moment. Welcome back. There is lots, of course, to love about life in South Florida, but let's be honest, shall we? This summer has been brutally hot, and it has been brutal on the well-being of more and more of us. Naja Sherman takes a closer look at seasonal affective disorder and why what is usually a cold weather worry has become a hotter topic here.
It's another blazing hot day in South Florida. At Zoo Miami, grandparents Elizabeth Nook and her husband were playing with their grandson and persevering through the heat.
If you had to describe this heat, what's it like?
It's incredible. It's incredible, and it's hard to endure almost.
Our team of meteorologists confirmed that here in South Florida, we are dealing with the hottest weather on record. Time now for our favorite part of the day. We get to ask the question, how hot is it?
Triple digits, feel like about 105 to 110.
Mental health experts warn that South Florida's extreme heat can lead to something more serious. It's called seasonal affective disorder. And while many people think that's something those in the north only deal with during gloomy winters, it can affect South Floridians too, but during the summer months.
Seasonal affective disorder is a type of major depression that has a seasonal component to it. And we say that it's seasonal affective disorder when it occurs for 2 consecutive seasons within a 2-year period.
Dr. Bo Burr says the intense heat coupled with other seasonal stresses can push people to a dark place, even in the bright Florida sun.
I think there are a number of stressors that come into play. For example, we know that families that have younger children, you're trying to navigate the schedule of taking your kids to summer camp, and maybe you want to go on vacation, so there's definitely more stress. There's also the financial stress that might occur. I've got a lot of people who are wearing bathing suits, and so I've seen on a lot of my patients, they're very insecure about the way they look.
Experts say 10 million Americans suffer from seasonal affective disorder every year. It's 4 times more common in women than in men. So how do you know when it's time to seek help?
So what I tell people is you have to look at how it's affecting your daily functioning. If you're not able to meet your life obligations, your relationships, your job, school, your hygiene, all these things, if you're not able to meet those obligations, it's probably time to seek professional help.
He told me treatments range from changing your diet and exercise to certain medications and counseling to all of the above. So if these blistering hot days have you feeling a little down, anxious, or irritable, you are not alone.
Miserable, and very, very, very miserable.
You don't go out too frequently, and then you don't exercise maybe because it's too hot.
And if you think you might be dealing with something a little heavier, it's okay to ask for help.
All right, we're going to take a deep dive into seasonal affective disorder with Naja Sherman, who just did that report. And Naja, I have to say, when I first moved here to South Florida, I thought, man, it's sunny all the time. I look forward to the sunshine. Now I wake up in the dead of summer and I go, man, the sun's out again. And sometimes it can really bring you down. Is this a climate change induced thing?
Right, so that's an interesting element to what we find about seasonal affective disorder in warmer climates, that it's not vitamin D related. What we find is that it's the amplified layers that we experience seasonally paired with the extreme heat. So you've got really hot temperatures, which make people naturally irritable and a little anxious, coupled with some of the seasonal issues that many families face, including, the pressure to maybe plan a family vacation. Kids are out of school. What do you do with them during those times? Health experts say even people feel pressure, swimsuit season. I've got to get in a swimsuit, and maybe I'm feeling a little insecure about how I might look. So it's those amplified layers that we find that are seasonal paired with the heat that can sometimes bring people to this dark place.
Yeah, I can see how that can happen for sure. And so I guess really what you have to think about when the summer and the heat really pours on us is to enjoy the indoors.
Enjoy the indoors, but also just be really aware. I think in the past this has been an issue that maybe people haven't talked about before. They've been dealing with privately, but it's okay to know that other people might feel this way too, that you're not alone. And if you're to a place where you don't feel like it's something that you can cope with, it's okay to seek help.
So what are the coping mechanisms?
Sure. So that coping mechanisms are multi-pronged, is what mental health experts told me. They can range from sometimes it's just changing your diet to that indoor exercise, to medication, to therapy, to, in the most extreme cases, all of the above. So it would really depend on the level of anxiety and depression that you might be experiencing seasonally.
Yeah, and when all else fails, just slow down and chill, right?
Yes, slow down and chill in air-conditioned environments. Grant yourself grace and realize that you're not alone if you're feeling this way.
Yeah, and one side element to this, and this may sound a little weird, is a lot of people have pets. You're outside with your pets, and your pets can kind of feel anxious too, can't they, in the heat? Absolutely.
I mean, think about being outside in this climate with a fur coat, right? That's what our pets endure. So making those plans to plan special time with your pets, because we know that in terms of mental health, they can really lift our spirits, but making more indoor plans with them, certainly.
Yeah, well, certainly making a vacation plans is tougher now because even when you plan to go north, sometimes it's as hot or hotter there than when you left here in South Florida, so it can really be tricky.
Yeah, we're really seeing that. In fact, we ran a story today that the Midwest is seeing some of the highest temperatures on record. The South, Texas, many parts are dealing with extreme heat. It's not just us here in the deep South, so that seasonal affective disorder during the summertime is more wide-reaching than we might think.
Yeah, it is. All right, Naja, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on that. And still to come here at Miami Life, we'll check in with the local teacher who became famous for using football as a way to teach her students. She's got a brand new lesson plan, and she's getting a helping hand from the Dolphins' starting quarterback. All right, you may remember Pinecrest Elementary School teacher Mary Crippen. She went viral for using Miami Dolphins stats to teach her students. Well, now she is expanding her gridiron lesson plan right before the NFL season kicks off again. Trish Christakis shows us how she is now teaming up with Tua.
The Chargers twice. How many games is that in total? 4 games.
New school year, new curriculum.
Are the ones in your division and then the ones in your conference.
Mary Crippen has a curriculum unlike other teachers, and it starts with the phone setup.
And the Steelers twice. Every single season.
She's known for her viral Dolphins TikTok moments like this.
I'm going to put a star by all the teams that won.
And this season, or school year, she's not only using the Miami Dolphins to help teach her students, but she's expanded to using all NFL teams.
With the Dolphins, when they won, we all won as a group. When they lost, we all lost. This year, each of their teams are going to be on their own path and their own journey, and that's kind of like life. And what I want them to understand is you're going to win sometimes and your best friend's going to lose. How do you handle that?
Something that started as a way for the kids to learn math problems turned into life lessons.
Plus equals what? 16. Equals 16.
This year, the students each get their own team, and they have this binder full of stats and more. They think it's all fun, but they're really learning along the way.
There's art factors to it. They got to design their helmet. On their research paper, they got to design their mascot, so it reaches everybody.
This caught the eye of not only the Miami Dolphins, but also the Tua Foundation. Now, the foundation is building this, a flag football field behind the playground.
It's a lifelong legacy that Tua has left for the kids at Pinecrest Elementary and our community, and it means so much that they have a place to play that is safe.
In Pinecrest, Trish Christakis, CBS News, Miami.
Thanks, Trish. Goes to show you that a little creativity can go a long way. When we return, find out why some people believe manners have disappeared in the Magic City. All right, the 305 is known for a lot of good things, but having good manners apparently is not on that list. A new survey just threw major shade at Miami, calling our town the rudest city in America. The survey by online firm Preply was based on factors like lack of self-awareness, talking on speakerphone in a shared space, amen to that one, lack of care for others, and bad driving. A double amen on that one. By the way, according to this survey, the recent transplants to the city are not to blame for Miami's rudeness. Most residents say locals are much ruder. All right, time now to see what you have to say about the stories we have been bringing you here in Miami Life. And more than a few weighed in on last week's 20-40-60 conversation about black male voters. One of our guests noted that Donald Trump holds appeal for some younger black voters, but it's not just men either. A viewer commented, "I'm a black woman and I'm voting for Trump." Another person who saw the segment said, quote, 20-somethings remain remarkably reckless. Another, our young people have to have higher standards, and we need to have more conversations about our people voting. But someone else said our segment was, quote, an excellent example of how we need to communicate across generations everywhere. Meantime, our story on West Grove residents who say they were forced out of their community, a hot topic. One person said that soon nobody will be able to afford to live here unless you're super wealthy. Another said she left Miami in 2016 when a one-bedroom apartment was $900 a month. Now that same apartment is $2,300. Keep sending us your comments and feedback to cbsmiami@cbs.com. That does it for this week's Miami Life. And remember, we'll see you every Thursday for Miami Life at 6:30 on the stream and 10 p.m. on TV 33. I'm Jim Barry. We're going to leave you with some shots from opening day at the New Central Park in Doral.